Aloha, everybody. Thanks for joining us on the Aloha Friday show. Kamaka Brown over here. The show is brought to you by the Sandwich Island Social Network, a 501c3 nonprofit organization serving Hawaiians and Hawaiians at heart away from their island homes. If you like learn more about the Sandwich Island Network, bottom right-hand side of your screen says sandislands.org. That's where you can find out everything you like know about the Sandwich Island Social Network. And we're just so happy that our sister, Brittany Paiva, you can see her name on the upper left-hand side. She's an amazing ukulele player coming out of the Aina. Mahalo, Brittany, for letting us use your music. This is called Cruising on 7 by Brittany Paiva. And we'll be right back with our guests. Welcome, you guys. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome, welcome. Good to have you with us. And, I'm really excited about our guests for the Aloha Friday show, today. I've known this brother for more than 20 years. We go back to, not quite Hanabata, but we go back to Hana. We go back all the way to performing together back in the day with our mutual friend. He is kind of like our mentor, Brother Andy Bumatai. We have him as a common denominator going back to the early 90s. Oh my goodness. Please welcome to the Aloha Friday show, my good buddy, Brother Augie Toba. What's up, Augie? So, okay, wait. Full disclosure, you do not live in your car, right? I
don't. I will.
Okay.
You see that, right?
I see your clothes, bro. Yeah.
Yeah. So the last time, we even had a conversation. I think it was like a couple months to being the city councilman, and then I realized in the last, almost, can you believe it? Gonna be 5 years.
Oh, brah.
Yeah. And I've learned that you gotta bring clothes in.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
you gotta bring clothes.
I'm glad we got that cleared away because I saw your toothbrush and stuff. I don't know if you can see over there, but mouthwash and all that stuff, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, but you know what? This podcast gotta be official because in the back of me, in the trees, is the Menehunis, and the Menehunis always want to blow the poo, their Portuguese conch shell, to welcome you. So here's the first one. They stay up over there in the trees. Here's the first one. There's the first Portuguese conch shell for you. And then his wife, the wife is standing over there. She also give her conch shell. There you go, bro. You have been officially welcome. Huh? What you think?
Perfect. Perfect. Whenever there's Portuguese Menehuni, my heart just, being Portuguese,
yeah.
Just bring joy that I know. Get Portuguese Menehunis in the back of a tree.
It brings tears to my eyes. I tell you, this I know.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. Well, we get some of our ohana checking in already. Here's brother Marty Burns. He goes, Aloha Friday kako. Love me some Augie T, the funniest guy ever. Saw you when you was in Torrance a few years ago. Big mahalo for never giving up into the PC crowd and continue your style of comedy. Ooh, I remember that day. You came up and we were there enjoying you. There's brother Marty Burns. Ooh, good. Welcome, Marty. And here's Charles Kupahu, family from the east side, now living in Santa Clarita. Aloha, uncle. Aloha, Augie.
Right on.
And then we get Christy Kupahu, the wife. She's the boss, actually. She says, Aloha ohana to everybody. Welcome, you guys. Thank you for commenting. And if you got questions or stuff you want to say to Augie or whatever, please, no scared, jump right on in. So you mentioned city council over here, Augie, and you're now in your second term.
second
Yeah.
and final term.
It is
Yeah,
gonna.
we have term limits,
You do
which is
have term
awesome.
limits, huh?
Which is awesome because being there now for almost 5 years, I recognize a lot of public servants want to stay in forever,
Mm.
but I think having fresh eyes and fresh ideas is super important in this day and age. You know, and I was the last guy people expected to be in office, and having you know winning a second term has really taught me a lot and become more empathetic. But I also know that I want to do the best I can in the next 3 years, so when I do hand over the district, which is the eighth largest district in the state of Hawaii, um, that it's in good hands. Something that when I got into office 5 years ago, never have. I
Hmm.
was like, I went in, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, but I had an amazing staff that, that taught me, that helped me understand the functionings of city government. So, you know, uh, man, it's just been the most amazing, almost 5 years now, and I look forward to my 3 years and 7 months of just hopefully um, leaving my district to where people go, man, this guy did his job, and he said everything that what he wanted to do, he got it done. So I'm very, very, thankful that I've been given this opportunity.
So this is District 9, is it?
Yes,
And that's Ever Beach, Kapu,
Waipahu.
Waipahu. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
And I don't know if any of our friends have tracked this at all, either Augie on Instagram or on any of the social media. Brother has been out there with his slippers on the ground with picking up trash, with teams. I mean, the most visible and the community supporting you, they coming out because I don't think they've ever experienced something like this before, right?
Well, I remember, you know, and this, Kamaka, we, as entertainers, we have to do whatever we can to get out in the community so that we stay in the public eye. And I remember going to these cleanups, and I would watch politicians come in, do photo shoots, pretend that they're just picking up, and I used to think, look at these scumbags, and one of the things that was very, for me as I've never considered myself a politician, more just a servant, that I'm not going to do anything like that or even pander. I think it's so sad that, we see public servants or politicians come out to events just for a photo shoot pretending that they're working hard. And, I think people caught on, especially now. You cannot do that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? With social
yeah.
media, with, so much transparency, it's hard to, just come and the word go on. He saw that guy, he just came for take picture and he left. You know, so it was important for me to lead by example. And um, when people see you doing the work, asking to help is easy. Because they see you doing the work. And one of the things that I've learned in the 5 years is that when you're wrong, just admit you're wrong. Sorry. It's a learning moment. Um, and people respect that. They respect the fact that you weren't right about something, but you're gonna learn, you're gonna correct it, and then hopefully, make better decisions. And I think that's what people want. They just want transparency, truthfulness, and being trustworthy.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's been a very amazing 5 years, but I'm gonna be honest with you. The reason why I'm more aggressively wanting to get back on stage is because it's been a amazing 5 years. With you
Well,
know, doing the works of the city. It's just you sit there for hours sometimes, and somebody with ADHD and man, I've I've learned to be very humble. Yes, I've learned to be very humble in times where I just like sit there and just yell at the top of my lungs because it's very repetitive. It's very, you people love to complain.
Mm,
People love to complain, and I get it, but boy, whoo,
yeah.
I had to get back on because I realized how much you. I did shows, but not as aggressive as I did it prior to being in office. And now, as much as I can to get on stage, I'm doing it because, man, I realize how much I miss it and how much, like, laughter and being able to express yourself is so important in this day and age because there's so much divide and there's so much pilikia going on that people like escape. And if you like escape, you gotta come to a comedy show because it's still the format where you can feel like, man, no one's gonna judge me. I'm sitting there, and all I can do is just take in,
Yeah.
and it's so important. It's so important.
Here's Alan Dela Cruz. He goes, Aloha Kako. What's up, Alan? His brother lives up in Santa Clara. No, Palmdale. His brother lives up in Palmdale area. And
Hmm.
here's one of the original Hamajang gang. She has dual citizenship with the Hamajang gang, Andy's Hamajang gang, and the Aloha Friday show. This is C. Honda. She's saying, Aloha Augie T and Kamaka. And so C lives right up here in Southern California. I get to see her every now and then as well. Interesting. You should say that. There's a saying. By their fruits you will know. You know, people's behavior. You can tell. It's not just a tree, but by their fruits you will know. And so uh, I think you've touched very nicely on that. And the public is not. They're not stupid, man. They can see. They can see
Well,
behavior, you know?
Kamaka, being in this career, I've learned who my friends are and who not my friends are.
Mm.
Who not my friends. Because, I read all the comments when I was running for office. I saw all the really bad things. And mind you, you know, prior to that, I've been being in the entertainment business for almost close to 30 years.
Yeah.
And, I performed for probably every union, every big developer in Hawaii, every club. And when I saw what I saw, I was like, oh, man, you know, it's, it's, it's humbling. It's
Yeah.
super, super humbling. So, I've learned to just kind of like, wow, just thankful that, because I could have easily lived up to what everybody was saying, to being that typical local guy that, because I think that's what they wanted to see, and I wanted to show people that I have another side, I'm a dad. I shop and eat at the same places you eat, and I understand the responsibility. So I'm not gonna just go in and be a certain person because you only saw that side of me.
Mm-hmm.
The other side of me, worried about whether or not my kid's gonna live in Hawaii. Is mom and dad able to afford the services? How about the everyday local people? Can we afford to even live in Hawaii now? And I wanted to know that answer. And everything I've done in my life, from the time I can remember, has always been a calling. And I think that's the reason why, like, I can be okay. I'm okay with where I'm at in life because it was never ever pushed on me. I felt like it was my calling. Go run, go ask the questions. Go jump on stage and tell a joke. Go box and possibly get your face beaten in. So everything that I've done has been because of a calling. So I've learned a lot, and when you follow that passion. There's so much blessing. You might not be rich, you might not get all the millions of dollars, but then there's so much learning, and at the end of the day, what are people going to say about you when you're done
True that.
being here on this big planet? You know what I mean? Did I make you laugh? And I got cleaned the backyard of our school. He said hello to me in the mall. He gave me a shaka. Sometimes, man, those little things goes a long way. And I've never saw any of the things that I've done as a job, because I feel like everything was a calling, everything, and so appreciative that I can do all the things that I did prior to becoming a public servant. I still do. I do morning radio, and then I go to city council, and on a weekend I get to work with guys like you in a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
In Gardena, and then again at the Ice House. How cool is that?
You know what? We're getting a little bit of a network. We're getting a little bit of network interference.
Yeah, in here.
And it's the many hoonies coming and going. It's all right. We can muscle through that. And you're talking about people that were saying stuff. I gotta show you this, Augie. So tell us about this picture, Augie. Tell us about this picture right here.
Okay. So the guy on the right is my brother, Ernie, is my younger brother. He's the owner of Toba Roofing, a very successful company here. And the brother on my left that's wearing the Celtics is my older brother, Larry. And then that's my cousin, Joe. So my cousin Larry, and my brother Larry, my cousin Joe, and my brother Ernie were like the closest guys to help me get reelected. You think, Kamaka, after almost 30 years of entertaining people, a whole drove of people were like, yeah, let's see how you get elected. Not necessarily. And these guys would wake me up every morning. Let's go. We got to go. Got to get out there and campaign. And it was really cool because, my brother on the left and my cousin on the far left, they were career criminals. And I remember when we took the first picture together, this is for my second term, but my first term, when we took a picture, people were like, hey, half of the guys in your picture was in jail. Yeah, that's the numbers I get. But, what's nice was that, we had the best conversations every morning, and we've become closer. My brother on the left recently passed away, and kind of helped me, honestly, get back on track with my relationship with God, because when he died unexpectedly a day after the primary, the day after I won my second term, my dad really never showed us affection. So me and my brothers and my cousins never understood that. We don't know how to say we love you to each other. And I remember the day I won, my cousin Joe was out and about taking down the campaign signs because I won. And we called my brother Larry and was like, where you at? How come you never come out? And my brother Larry said, well, I'm resting because I got to go open on surgery the next day. I said, well, I owe you guys an amazing lunch. And not even 4 hours after that, Kamaka, my brother, passed away.
Wow.
And, I questioned my fate. I wondered if my brother went to heaven. That got me back on track with my relationship with God.
Woo. Wow.
So,
thanks.
Hey, the cool thing is that after, right after his funeral, I went and I shared about this transformation, right? And one of his friends said, "Oh, dude, your brother gave his life to Christ like a couple of years ago." I was like, "What?" And just it just kind of sealed my own personal faith that God is doing things to have us all. And I'm sorry for being, if you're watching this and you're not religious, I apologize, but I'm going to share this because,
no apologies, bro. No apologies, brother.
There's a purpose for everybody.
Yeah.
So, getting us back on track is so important for him, because, so, I'm enjoying life. I'm a lot more thankful. I'm thankful that in the hardest times in my campaign, as the people closest to me growing up, the people that understood who Augie was, the people that maybe wanted to give back to society and say, we're sorry for all the things that we did, but, man, one of our family members could tell you the truth. He going to work hard, and we don't care we don't want 100 people. We won both campaigns with less than 40 people, sometimes only 5, like that. We went knocking on the door. The first term, I ran against a guy who was in office for 20 years that had almost $500,000 in his campaign, and we just outworked the guy. People said, oh, because your name, it's a name. Yeah, but I also read all the bad things that people are saying. You're a clown. We're not going to elect a clown in office. So, for me, it was, I never get mad. I just worked hard because the people that believed in me the most understood, that outside of the comedy and everything else, I have a genuine heart, and I say this with humility and truthfulness, that I love Hawaii, and I'm worried about how we're gonna look like after you and I come out is gone. Where people gonna forget about Augie the comedian, Augie the public servant. That's what I worry about my future grandchildren. Are they gonna experience the Hawaii that we saw growing up? Where we could run around with our slippers, where we could catch the bus and feel safe, where we could swim all day, where we could go home at night. Is that the Hawaii that's gonna be here when you and I are long gone? And that's the kind of stuff that I wake up to every day, and that's why comedy is important, because, I feel that. I feel that every day. When you hear, and I get emails, oh man, it's just so, it makes you want to pray. When you read about the challenges that everybody faces, it does make you want to go and pray. So I'm very, very thankful, knowing that my brother is in a better place, and that the people that was most important to me was there in the hardest time when people were saying the negative things. It's like, never mind. You're from Kalihi, but I don't know housing. As long as you find it, if you quit, bro, we're gonna beat you up.
Yeah, we have some of our listeners. They're acknowledging that we're having a little audio. There's Bobby Agnew. He's going, your audio stay funny kind. Yeah, bro. We get smoke and audio problems, but we're gonna try muscle through this over here. Here's Charlie. He goes, Augie serves with passion, not greed. Oh, that's beautiful. So with passion, yeah. I'm wondering, I'm wondering, Augie, if maybe you signing off real fast and signing back in might result that.
Okay.
Try to do that right now. See what happens. Okay. Yeah, you know what? We sometimes have things that are out of our control. It depends on the many hoonies of the internet and the internet providers. Um, Augie is on his phone. He just came out of a meeting and he's back now. And so let's see what happens right now. He comes back in. Um, and maybe not. While we're waiting for Augie to come back in, I'm just going to go ahead and share this coming up. Hang in there, guys. All righty then. We're talking about the show that Augie and I will be doing coming up in later on this month, and I think we're a little bit better now. Augie, I think I
Better.
got you. Yeah, we get some outside noise, but you know what? That's all right. We can deal with that. No worries. No worries. Here's a couple of comments from some folks that are tuning in right now. There is Marie. Marie, she's in Virginia. She goes, "Aloha from Virginia. It's not about things, it's about people and how we make them feel. That's what they will remember." Yeah, so true. So true. Nice. Thank you, Kayal. Be safe out there in Virginia. Here's C. Honda. She goes, "Augie, we proud of you." Aw, nice. And let me see. Here is it's Charles. He goes, "He serves with passion and not greed." I second that emotion there as well. Um, you have some podcasts that are very nice, very interesting. For our friends, upper right hand side of your screen is AugieTLive.com. AugieTLive.com. And everything about Augie is there, information, and also about some podcasts, Talking Story with Augie. And with one of them, you have a conversation with your youngest child, Mahealani. Tell me a little bit about her, and we've had some conversations about her journey. Tell me about her now.
Well, she's a extremely overachiever. You know, like pump the brakes. You see already, I'm involved with 100 million things, but that's she's the one really kind of pushed me to run for office. You
Really?
know, yeah, when she started her nonprofit, you know, and I started helping her going to schools, talking about anti-bullying, talking about being respectful, sharing my story. Um, she was like, you know, awesome, you're an entertainer, but you should use your entertainment to do something bigger, and serve. And was perfect because she was already at of age, and it made sense, because my children has always been bullied because everyone thinks that dad has all this money and dad does all these things. They must, and they don't realize that these kids all go to school and cost money, you know, and um, so they always had a very very tough time living in that shadow. So my daughter, she started a foundation, anti-bullying, and she won amazing awards like the um, presidential presidential scholarship award, where she was invited to Washington D.C. with other leaders her age
Wow.
to talk about their passions, and then she won the Princess Diana Award for anti-bullying. Very, like I said, an overachiever. She's a flight attendant for, Hawaiian Airlines. She left on a flight to Vegas this morning, and you know, very very proud of all my children. And how they have, found their own voices and doing their own thing, and they know that life is difficult, but they also know that, hey, I just gotta call, make a phone call,
Hmm.
and so I'm very, very proud of all of them, for all the things they've done and the things that they created. And so she created that pageant, and she wanted to give girls an opportunity to do much more than just, put on a crown, but like serve their community, become brave ambassadors. Her foundation is called BRAVE. It's an acronym to be respectful and value everyone. And she does this scholarship pageant to give girls an opportunity to use the pageant as a platform for their own, passions and platforms and beliefs. And she uses the love of music, and she loves to sing. She has a new EP coming out called Maxi, and she loves, singing. So, I'm excited to see what she's gonna do with just that.
Sweet, 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 sweet. Good. Behind every successful man is a very surprised woman. But no, no. But you you also have on your podcast your wife Kim.
Yeah.
That's been a valuable teammate and a coach. And uh, tell us about Kim.
She's the Holy Spirit. you know, we all need a little correction, right? And she's that whisper in the wind,
Uh-huh.
dummy, what you doing? An amazing soul. Very encouraging, and I feel so bad because my family was neglected, because you know how it is. Come on, when you hustling and working, and you're trying to make ends meet, and you're trying to find your way in this world. Sometimes the people closest to you is the one get the rubbish. They come
Mm.
home to a tired dad, overwhelmed husband, and you know she stick with me to thick and thin. She should have left a long time ago.
Wow.
With the way I've lived my life and the fast pace, and you know she saw that I give so much to everybody, and yet you know I cannot ask for a better partner in life. Someone that sometimes have to maybe even pray for God to love me.
Uh-huh.
Because very complicated. And uh, in this new journey, really trying to correct all of that. With even with my children, that's why I say like I'm proud of them, but they got dad's rubbish.
Wow.
The crumbs, they say. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's very humbling to look at them and to apologize. And but they know, like they're not stupid. They know like that dad is working, dad is hustling, and that's one thing that I appreciate. You know, but I also know like they wanted my attention. They wanted the things that I said I hated in my own dad. And very appreciative to them, and I'm very proud, like I said, that they have to live through that, and still get plenty of time, still get plenty of time in this world. As long as I'm breathing and walking, we still have time to nurture all of those relationships, and
Yeah.
and make things right with everyone. So
Yeah. So we seem to be getting caught up in the packets again. And so I'm going to ask you one more time to log off and come back in. When you do that, I'm gonna do a little PSA, and so that's going to be good for us. So let's do this. Well, I think we're back right now with Augie, and we will stay ahead of the many hoonies there because I think it loads up in the network, and then they start parceling out the data. That's okay. Um,
but I gotta tell you, Kamaka, I'm in Waikiki. So
ah,
this morning I attended the Hawaii State Prayer Breakfast, and I'm sitting in a parking lot where I first started doing comedy at the Waikiki Comedy Club. So,
interesting.
uh, yeah, I'm right. I'm parked in a stall that I used to park into, do comedy on the weekends.
Wow. Um, here's Kevin Wiedemeyer down in San Diego. He's saying it's great that you use your popularity to help your daughter stand against bullying. That's beautiful. Absolutely. And here's Robert Agnew when talking about your ohana has a roofing company. He goes, I need a new roof. Hey, maybe, maybe we can connect you up with brother over there. And down in San Diego, also, where Kevin Wiedemeyer is out there. He goes, hey, I see you coming to San Diego soon. That's right. You're down there in San Diego. And you can get all the information on augietlive.com. I think our good friend Tula, I think, is handling that one down there.
Yeah, no, very excited about that. I'm working on a lot of new material, so it's yeah, no, I'm having like I said, I'm having a good time. Looking forward to seeing all you homesick Hawaiians. It's
Yeah.
we've been it's amazing how there's more aloha now on the mainland
Mm,
than back home. It's kind of a
mm.
strange thing. There's no, when you go Maui, oh, where you from? Oahu. Oh, you from Oahu? On the mainland, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Maui, Oahu, yeah, we just miss home so much that there's this, natural feeling of like, man, we all miss home. So why are we, who cares on what part of the island that we lived on? What's
Yeah.
up, brother? What's up, sister? So I always get a kick at going to the mainland and just seeing that that aloha spirit, which
Yeah.
which is alive and well.
Yep. And we're here. Um, and this is a personal thing for me. I don't say I live on the mainland because my mainland is the Aina Hawaii. That's just my own pet peeve. I always say I live on the continent, right? Oh, you live mainland? I go, no. My mainland is Oahu. That's where I was born. Not sure. My, but I live on a continent in California. They go, okay, sorry. I just go, but that's just me. While we're talking about that, Augie, you're coming up and you're doing several shows. I know you and Andy and Rex were up in Northern California within the last couple of weeks. How was that reception up there in Northern Cali?
Man, amazing. Like I said, every time to do it with one, Andy, who, of course, like you said, mentored a guy who I saw in the fourth grade that kind of led me on this path. And then Rex Navarrete, who, kind of paved the way for
Yeah.
Filipino comedians, right? And, Rex and I, when the tsunami hit, Hurricane Haiyan, we did a statewide tour and raised thousands of dollars, and we were able to, you know, build and fix a community center with the money raised here, to do a show with him and Andy. It was so much fun. You saw three different genres of comedy. And I say that genre because, Andy's the more, elder statesman in the
Yeah.
group.
Yeah.
And then you had Rex, who kind of, like, again, paved the way for Filipino community and has his style, his niche. And mine always been, self-deprecating, uh, just no nonsense kind of deal. Like, so it was kind of cool to have that. And, man, standing ovations at all of these shows. So it was very, very, we're looking forward to, like, maybe possibly doing more,
Nice.
so,
Nice.
yeah, be looking
Yeah.
out for that. But in the
Yeah. Yeah.
meantime, I'll be there at the ending of May in San Diego, and you and I do Gardena, and then head over to Vegas to do a show in Vegas. So, yeah, it should be good fun. Looking
Y-
forward to seeing you guys real soon.
Yeah. So this one you and I are doing right here in Gardena, coming up Memorial Day weekend, May 24th, and and Vico from Tasty Hawaiian Barbecue, a great friend of ours, as well as the Authentically Hawaiian shop, is also producing this. And so you can get your tickets right there at the Authentically Hawaiian. And it's all over Instagram and all over internet. Or if any questions about how to get tickets, whatever, you guys can hit me up. But looking forward to working with you, Augie. That's going to be fun. That's going to be
Yeah,
fun.
same here.
Um, let's see. We have some other ohana. Here's Nate Jones. This brother Nate Jones is our production assistant right over here. He goes, "Good to see you again, Augie. Mahalo for your work in trying to get more TV and film production in the 808. I still have the home and the housing cassette tape you signed for me at Kapiolani Hospital 30 years ago when the album came out. Wow." Uh,
Yeah, no, one of the things that I did in my first term as a city councilman is, um, work on this film bill. Um, and what we said to the state is that the city is ready to put skin in the game. So we put together a bill to incentivize and give developers of film studios to come to Hawaii with some amazing tax breaks and exemptions so that we can build the infrastructure for film here in the islands, and all we're just waiting for is the state to, like, work on their state tax credit. And, I don't know if some of my colleagues that serve understand the importance of diversifying and making film as one of those things. You know what I mean? We've relied on tourism, but we all know that during the pandemic, that all went away. And really, the one thing that was still thriving and still moving was the fact that we had Magnum PI, we had Doogie Howser, we did several movies, and it's a thriving economy here in Hawaii. People love coming to film, but unfortunately, the last this past week, the session, didn't move,
wow.
and it could really hurt the film industry here in Hawaii. I just felt was important being in the entertainment business, and I understand how much money it brings to our state. I don't understand why our elected officials on the state side don't understand that and how much money is outsourced, and it's just, yeah, I feel bad for that industry because we have a lot of very talented people in Hawaii. You know, my children came out of Wine Night Sea Rider production, and they were told one day we'll have a thriving, you know, film industry. It never happened.
Yeah.
And so for the first time that the city, with the bill that I helped put together, said to the state, we understand the value. So we're gonna give developers that want to build a film studio an opportunity. You know, uh,
Well, I certainly hope that happens,
but
man,
it
because
is what it is right now.
I think the last show that's there right now is High Surf Hawaii, I think, and they're hoping they sign for a second season. I like the show. Our friends up here just love that show. I think that's the last TV show that's being shot there, and they haven't renewed for a second season. But if they don't get a second season, then there'll
No,
be no TV shows that are going to be happening there in Hawaii. That's kind of sad.
nothing. And
Yeah.
maybe Momo Jason will, you know, with Chief of War, um, consider, filming Oh, he has to, but a lot of it is lost to New Zealand. You
Hmm.
know, uh, and
Yeah.
we could be benefiting from that. But again, I don't understand why the state did what it did, and you know, even despite the hundreds of people here in Hawaii that's involved in the film industry came out to testify, they still just went over the head.
Interesting. Interesting.
And that's the most frustrating part about government for me. And I've seen that happen in the last 4 years, where you have people um, that go against something, and yet we don't even listen, and yet that's who we're supposed to be representing.
Hmm.
And that's the most frustrating part about government.
Yeah.
That are we really listening to the people, right? And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I'll keep it
Yes.
at that. Make
Yeah.
sure that I stay ethically sound and right.
Very nicely put. There's Kay Bennett. She goes, yeah, the name of the show is Rescue High Surf, and we enjoy it here at the Holly as well. And she's saying it's an excellent show, very respectful toward Hawaii. Love that production, and we have a couple of friends of ours that are on the show as well. And as you say, it's not just the folks that are in front of the camera. I mean, there are hundreds of people behind the camera, all of the crew, all of the grip, all of carpenters, landscape, you just name it, that are all employed by the show. And just a few people are in front of the camera. The ones behind the camera, as you know, Augie, are making a living and be part of that economy. So hopefully that message will get through. I saw something, and I wanted to do this, Augie, before we moved on here. And this is something that really spoke to me when I was going on to looking at something that you had said, Augie. And I just want to quote you over here, if you don't mind. You had said, "No, never doubt what you can do, because you can do anything you set your mind to. And when in doubt, check if your actions are aligned with your purpose. No matter how hard today is, remember, you'll never have to do this day again." That's some heavy stuff, my brother.
Yeah, something that I live for every day. Like, you know, uh, there are times when I'm driving home to Ever Beach where I just kind of say, it is what it is,
Mm,
and I don't take that lightly, because you wake up again every day with some purpose. Man, you gotta check yourself. Am I doing this with the right intentions and the right heart, right? And it for me, it's just it helps me sleep good at night. How's that one?
because at the end of the day, you got to look at
Helps
yourself
me
in the
sleep good.
mirror, right? You got to look at yourself in the mirror, uh,
Absolutely.
and ask yourself that question after that question. By the way, folks are commenting about Rescue High Surf. Nani Aloha says the Northern California shows were great. The three of them, you, Andy, and Rex, were killing it, Nani says. And also, what was something said that here? Um, One more just went by really quickly that Nate was reading that if Rescue High Surf is not renewed, it would mark the first time in 25 years that Hawaii has had no active production. Man, that's amazing. Also, here's Kay Bennett. She goes, "High Surf Hawaii. It's on Hulu. Everyone should check in and let the production company know that we're watching. Absolutely. Let you know. You never know. Here's one brother from the Aina right there, and that is. Let's see if I can bring this up. For some reason, it's not coming up here. Oh, there it is. Johnny Rocks Hollywood. Johnny is over there in Waikiki. He's going, good morning, Kamaka, aloha, Augie. What's up, Johnny? Thanks for dropping in there, brother. And let me see, one more. Let's see, someone just joined us. Um, Johnny is saying, very true. Let's see, it's slow. He goes, I'm unemployed as an actor for the first time since it started. So that's a trickle down as an actor. What has been feeling on that. So you talked about maybe possibly there's term limits, right? So there are term limits. You're not able to run a third term. So what's for Augie Toba next? I mean, other office, political office, or you're going to step away? Have you thought about that at all? Or
No, thanks for that question. Everyone's asking. The nice thing about it is that I think I was able to um, do what a lot of people didn't expect, um, and if I wasn't where I'm at right now spiritually, I would have loved, like, the ego would have gotten in the way, and I'm like, yeah, maybe, man, yeah, maybe, but that's not where I'm at right now.
okay,
Uh, you know, I everything that I wanted answered when I was thinking about running, I got it answered, and I realized through my works right now that when I work with private, public, nonprofits, different people in the community, that a lot can be done, and that advocacy is still strong in the community. People want to help. You just got to find the right people, right? And I now see, like, maybe I could do a lot on the private side, and do a lot of good. So there's a lot of things that I might want to try, even at 57 now. You know, uh,
57.
I've talked to
Oh,
some, yeah, I've
oh,
talked to some cool people in the last couple of weeks. That I might consider wanting to do when this thing is up. But it's 3 years, right? And like I said with that quote, tomorrow might be a different day. I might want to go, well, what, maybe my calling is to run again. But as right now, and I've never, I get people saying, oh, if you're going to do it, you got to start campaigning right now. You got to start raising money right now. But that's the same people that told me 5 years ago that you got to raise money now. And I never had to. I just worked. I just worked hard. I just went knocking on the door, and honestly, it's kind of nice not being pressured by people who give you money.
ah,
People that supposedly with influence, right? Uh, because now you feel almost obligated
mhm.
to listen what they have to say, even though ooh, kind of wrong.
Yeah,
Wrong.
yeah.
And this free spirit of making decisions is the most awesomest thing. That's why I like doing try to where you only can raise X amount. You cannot do and it didn't pass. in the
Mm.
state. Because I just think, when you influence that way, it's hard to make really good decisions because
True that.
so much people in your ear. You gotta
Yep.
vote no. You gotta vote no. You gotta vote yes. You gotta vote. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Instead of like assessing, having the people tell you, and then you having read testimonies from other people and making it based on what your community wants
Hmm.
instead of what a party wants, the status quo, and maybe that's the problem with government right now.
Yeah.
So status quo. Once you get in, because you don't like shake the tree, you like you end up compromising, and pretty soon you're not the happiest person on the planet. No one's looking at you when you're pushing your wagon in the mall, and
Or they're pointing at you. Yeah, that's
when
the
you no
guy.
more pressure, when you no more pressure, to make a decision. Again, if you're wrong, you can just say, "Hey, I was wrong." If you're right, you can just be humble and say, I was right."
Yeah.
You know, so it's a nice thing to not be pressured by people with influence giving you money.
Hmm.
I think that's what's wrong about the system.
Yeah.
Unions, developers, bank, they give ton of money, to support a candidate because they know that the candidate gonna do the status quo instead of, making really truthful decisions based on what your community wants,
Yeah.
and really listening. And
Well,
so,
Johnny
yeah,
says,
it's nice. I don't know.
J-
I'm praying every day. I'm praying every
okay.
day about it.
Johnny says, you did an outstanding job. You provide divine service to your district. Be proud. We love you. That's nice. That's
Oh, thank
nice.
you,
I love the
Johnny.
work. Love the work that you
Thank
do.
you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
No,
Absolutely.
I love representing Waipahu and Eba Bits.
Ebabich.
Waipahu and Eba Bits. Yeah, no, I have a amazing, I have an amazing district. I mean, I represent one of the fastest growing districts in the state, Eva Beach, and it's growing every single day. And of course Waipahu, with rail, new development. I'm curious to see how Waipahu gonna look like in the next 10 years. Will
Whew.
it still have the essence of Waipahu,
The
right?
essence.
Or will it be a new Waipahu,
Uh,
where it's, like Kaka'ako, because that's kind of where it's heading,
mm.
so yeah, gonna be interesting. But you and I will be long gone. There will only be stories about how this guy was in the back of my Powell Elementary digging out rubbish.
Well, I think our kupuna used to say that, hey, when no more Arakawa store, when no more the son of the rooster, that's going to be the end of Waipahu. Or when the Dairy Queen is gone over there in front of the church, that's going to be the end of Waipahu. But Waipahu continued to grow and stuff, and I think
Yeah,
it'll it'll be fine. I think you've set a real good precedent there of somebody that walks the walk and talks the talk, and that stuff is coming back to you, and that feels good when you did what you say you were
yeah.
going
No,
to
we
do.
have, even though part of city duties, I still go into schools, listen and see what the students are doing, because like you've heard it growing up, they're tomorrow's future. And um, man, it's pretty awesome watching these students. Powell High School, you talk about being ahead. They have all these cool classes where you can go to Waipahu and go get a blood test, get they have a nursing program, but you can go drop off your car because they have a mechanical program. You can go fix your car, go get your blood work, and then go to a culinary area in the school where you can be treated to some amazing food. So it's I'm watching this happen in real time. And yeah, like you said, I think a lot of cool things gonna come out of not just out of Waipahu, but Campbell, Kapolei, all the schools that I represent in our district because, we have teachers that's passionate and I would love to see more people become servants and become teachers, police officers. We still live in a very safe state. We see the craziness, but we still live in a safe state and it's so hard to um, get people to become police officers, in a state that's still safe, and I would love to see more people step up, become teachers and counselors and police officers because we need it more than ever now.
Yeah. My goodness, Augie, our time is we've been together an hour already. Wow, it's been fast, and I know you've been blessed with many activities that you need to do. Big mahalo, my brother, for coming on
Thank
and
you, sir.
talking story, and good to see you, and we'll see each other coming up later on this month,
Yeah.
right here in the Southland, and we can talk stories some more. And congratulations on all of the wonderful work you're doing there in that community. And just it's really spirit led. I can tell that's who you are now, man. That's who you are, man. So mahalo,
Oh,
brother.
whenever we get better reception, we'll do it again. And
Yes.
as Portuguese, we love to talk. So if there's ever an opportunity again real soon, just let
You
me
are.
know.
Yes,
And
sir.
your producer did a great job and just making sure that he stay in touch with me, make sure that I was on time this morning. So thank you to your producer and thank you for your time. And thank you, everybody. We look forward to seeing you guys in a couple of weeks. And stay blessed.
Everybody just jumping in. Want to say great seeing you, Augie. There's Christy. What's up, Christy? There's Nani, aloha, mahalo, and all of the accolades coming in. Take care, Augie. We will see you at the end of the month. Aloha, brother.
Aloha.
Thank you.